I better hurry up and get baby dog here because I know I'll be in trouble. But she ought to be there. Come on, girl. Okay, get up in your chair. Now, when we get done, and we'll talk about a lot of serious stuff, and when we get done, if you want to come up and say hi to baby dog, she'll sit right here and say hi to all of you, okay? So now we got that out of the way. First of all, thanks so much for coming. And I'm not here to cast stones. We're 2/3 of the way there. You know, we got a House vote and all kinds of delegates from this area and everything. You should thank them all. All of them voted in favor, 95-2. But all your delegates from this area, all are right in favor. Now, okay, here's the whole thing. And like I said, I'm not here to beat on anybody. We're 2/3 of the way home. We should have already passed this. It should be over right now. You know, we keep, procrastinating or whatever you want to call it. One thing the Senate does say is we have our plan. Well, I would say to the Senate, show me the money. I mean, for God's sakes living, where is the plan? Does anybody here know the plan? I mean, we don't need to go back and start retrading Amendment 2, but where is the plan? You know, at the end of the day, they have my plan, and my plan is really simple. It can't be any more simpler. You know, it's just simply just this. We have built incredible surpluses in West Virginia, and the odds are overwhelming that we're going to continue to grow in West Virginia, but we absolutely factor in a mild recession, energy prices going down, this boom bust and all this kind of stuff. We absolutely want to make sure, beyond any doubt, that we're able to continue to provide services and provide the best services and grow services. Now, that's what we do. Now, that's all there is to it. This is our Secretary of Revenue, Dave Hardy. He and his crowd have worked on these numbers beyond all comprehension. They've built in every safeguard that we could possibly have. And I can tell you just without question, the number one safeguard is $700 million in a bucket that basically is going to be in that bucket that for any level of shortfall that's from the personal income tax. It's almost as big as our entire rainy day fund. Now, if you're going to believe that there's going to be a meteorite hit us, well, then I can't help you. Or if you're going to believe of the boogeyman in the closet, then I can't help you. But I can tell you that without any question, I hate to say this, and I don't say this egotistically, but when I walked through the door, our state was bankrupt. Dead level, flat, bankrupt. Nowhere to turn. The only thing we could possibly do is cut. And the more we cut, the more people left. Now, you can say what you want, but that's honest to God, the truth. Now, and through this time, we've built a robust economy, a diversified economy. We're doing everything in the world for roads. We've put education way up on our priority list. Everything in the world. We've tried to help with all the drug stuff, whether it be Jim's Dream, Jobs and Hope, communities and schools, game changers, all the different things we're doing. Sure, we've got more work to do, but with all of that and everything, this state's rolling. And absolutely, we've become the envy of the nation or the envy of the world. Who would have ever, a West Virginia term, thunk it? Who would have thunk it that the travel guides, national travel guides would say West Virginia's the place you ought to go? Are you kidding me? I mean, really and truly? These are the same people that cast all the stones, told all the bad jokes about us, said we were so poor and backward we couldn't even find our way to the store. Are you kidding me? And they are coming. Last year in the state of West Virginia, visitors spent $5 billion. $5 billion. Now, before I go any further, let me just tell you just this. We don't want to ever forget really who brung us to the dance. We don't want to forget the fact that we're a natural resource state and we're dadgum, we should very much be proud of who we are. Whether it be our coal miners or our gas workers, we should always remember and be thankful for just who we are. Let me just tell you just a fact. A lot of people think, well, coal's dead, it's gone and everything. Well, think about this in West Virginia. In West Virginia right now, there's 14,000 coal miners that are going to work every day. But more importantly than that, there's 847 contract businesses all across this state that are supplying goods to our coal mines. If you add those in, that's 40,000 people. Do you think we could just tomorrow say, oh, we can do without that? Think about what happened, around Christmas. When it got so blooming cold, it was off the chart. And a lot of situations happened with gas or whatever it may be that were tough. And our coal usage in this country went from 21% in the country to 47% and saved our day. Now look, for any of you that are here that would believe that we can do without coal and oil and gas today, you're crazy. I mean, that's all there is to it. Do we want to embrace all the alternatives? Well, you see me doing that all the time. Of course we should. Of course we should. And maybe a day out in the future, there'll be a day when literally we can do maybe without coal and gas, but not today. Now, I didn't mean to get into all that, because I don't have any notes. I just talk to you, Now, let's go back to the income tax. I say, if the Senate's got a plan, let's see it. I say that I would be willing in any way to compromise or do anything. But my plan is really, really simple. And that is just this. It's just to put money back in your pockets because you have gotten us here. You have. I mean, for God's sakes, a living, many of you, slugged through decades of tough stuff in West Virginia. And you hung in there. And you pulled the rope. And we are where we are. Now, we don't want to be frivolous, but I can promise you to God above just this. Do you honestly believe that Jim Justice will walk in as bankrupt, build what we've got in every way in the world, and try it with all of y'all, and then blow it? I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, my gracious goodness alive, that is the last thing that Jim Justice is going to do. So, I would just tell you just this, and I don't know how to make it any simpler, but I'm looking for somebody that could come up here. Could you come up here to me please, just a second? Would you like to do? Yeah, please. Now, and this is, what's your name? Christy? Yeah. Beautiful name, okay. All right, now just think about Christy. What if I were to say, and I don't know, Christy may be making $900,000 a year, okay? But what if I were to say if Christy was an example, okay? And Christy's making $50,000. Christy right now is paying 6% of that income to the state, and that's $3,000. My deal is just real simple. It's just as simple as this. And please forgive me, Christy, because I don't have $3,000 or I don't have $1,500. But now just think about this just a second. What if I said, this money right here, this money, which is not $1,500, this is what I want to give Christy right now. No bells and whistles, and every one of y'all the same. If she today, hold it just a second, but don't go crazy with that. Okay, now just think. No bells and whistles. Christy's got that money. Today she's paying $3,000 in her taxes, and we're going to cut it to $1,500, so she's got $1,500 bucks. That's all there is to it. That's my plan. My plan is we have vetted every way in the world that we can do this, and I want her to have the money because she'll spend the money. I'll spend the money. We'll all spend the money as we go forward. Every last one of us will spend the money. Now, some of us have a little bit higher income, and they'll spend more money. Some of us have a lower income, and they'll spend less money. But we'll all spend the money. And the money is $1 billion. Now, if we'll just step back from it and say, well, what will happen when we all spend the money? Those dollars will be a multiplier effect, and those dollars will multiply and multiply and multiply, and more people will spend. They'll be our own incentive program. Now, Christy, if you'll do this, if you'll give me my money back, and Christy, at some point in time here, I'm gonna take one of these $20 bills and sign it, and you put it in something, okay? Now you hold on to that, and go sit down, and I'm taking my money back. I'll sign it in just a few minutes. No, please. Now, hear me out. West Virginia is growing a little bit now. West Virginia could be growing a whole lot right now. I haven't seen this map, but Secretary Hardy has got this map. But tell us about the map real quick, Dave.
One group that we use for just about all of our research is called the Tax Foundation. They are this group that's a nonprofit that studies taxes all across the United States. And every year they issue reports about what effect tax policy has on what Americans do. And if you look at this map, this is the map that shows where Americans moved in 2022. And I don't know why this is a surprise. This is one of those studies, you have to see the study to tell you what you kind of already know. People are mobile nowadays. Teleworkers are very mobile. And people move to states that have low taxes. The poster child for high taxes, of course, the poster children are California, New York, Pennsylvania, Illinois. You see those states depicted in gold. The states that are in blue are the states that are growing like crazy across the United States today. And I don't think we're a bit surprised by some of these states. Texas, Florida, all of us West Virginians, we all have second memories of being in Myrtle Beach when we were children. South Carolina's growing like crazy. North Carolina, South Dakota, Utah, Montana, etc. What you find is these states are the states that have recognized that taxes are real and that people will move to reduce their taxes. Teleworkers being the most common moves. Retirees being second. Texas, no state income tax. Florida, no state income tax. South Dakota, no state income tax. And all these other states, very low state income tax. Look around West Virginia. We, right now, have the highest income tax of the 5 states around us. Our state income tax is 6.5%. Maryland's at 5.75. Virginia's at 5.75. Ohio just brought theirs down to 3.99. Kentucky's bringing theirs down. And of course Pennsylvania. We have to compete with the 5 states around us. And under the governor's plan, our income tax rate will go from 6.5% now, and it's been that way since 1987, long time, 35 years, to 3.25% by 2025. Goes down 30% this year, 10% in '24, 10% in '25. We will become instantly competitive. We'll have the lowest income tax of the states around us because Pennsylvania is a little bit lower, but they have local income tax, which makes theirs higher. So we'll have the lowest income tax of the 5 states around us. And on a national level, the states that have no income tax, in the 10-year period, the states that have no income tax, there are 9 states, have grown at literally twice the speed, twice the growth of states that have income tax. So our population growth will definitely start to grow quickly because over a 10-year period, and here's the last one, then I'll hand it back to the governor, the economies of the 9 states that don't have an income tax, in that 10-year period that the Tax Foundation studied, the economies of those states grew 56% faster than the other 41 states that have an income tax. Our competitors, the states around West Virginia, they're reading the same stuff we're reading. So the governor's plan is going to help our economy grow and bring people to West Virginia very quickly.
Well, let me conclude from my side, and then we'll answer any questions that you choose to ask. You know, I would ask you, you know, it'd be really good if we could keep this as much as we possibly can to tax, because, you know, we got a lot of people that are good enough to come here, and I know your manners, because you're West Virginians and you're great, and a lot of people have come here at their lunch hour or whatever like that, and they don't want to get up and have to leave and everything. So try to keep it, if you can, as much to tax as you can. We'll answer your other questions or whatever, but you know, a lot of them take a lot of detail, and there's maybe a lot of folks here that maybe could help us answer those questions better. The net of the whole thing is just this, is the Federal Reserve came to my office 4 months ago, and they said, and at that time, the House hadn't really made their statement that they've already made. And they said, what's wrong with the legislature in West Virginia? And I said, well, I mean, what are you talking about? And they said, in regard to personal income tax, we have to be completely unbiased. The Federal Reserve is unbiased. But they said, do you realize that all the states around you are trying to move forward in that? Do you realize where you're located to all the population of this country? The population of the country is driving through you to get to one of these states. And on top of all that, do you realize that South Carolina, Mississippi, and Georgia are all on the way to trying to get rid of their personal income tax? In addition to that, Kentucky's lowering their tax as well. Ohio's lowering their tax as well. You're going to awaken to where you're not even in the world of competitiveness. Literally, the $64 question is, we can go now. We can really go now, safely, conservatively. Why aren't we going there? You know, and literally, I can't figure that out. At the end of the day, this state is growing, and we need to do one thing, and that is bring more people to our state. Every number that we ran it with zero growth coming. To be conservative, zero. Well, we know people are going to come like crazy, but we put in zero to run the numbers and make sure we're completely safe. Please ask anything you choose, and I thank you for coming. Yes, sir.
My name is Robert State, and I'm a local resident. Regarding your reduction of tax, I'm going to be optimistic that it's going to go through. Will it be an immediate reduction in the withholdings of the residents of West Virginia can immediately recoup this? Or will they have to wait till they file the tax and wait for months to get the refund?
Okay. Now I'm gonna have to defer to you, sir, because. Okay, please. No, let him go ahead and ask you something.
The other question has to do with energy. I'm a have any comments on the nuclear reactor that will obviously have a direct impact on coal miners, natural gas? The nuclear reactor that hit the news about a month ago down in Charleston.
Well, let me say this. You know, I'm one that deals in meat and potatoes, and Baby Dog and I are on the same dietary program. But listen to me really good. I think tomorrow, if we would have somebody come up and with a surefire way to do something with a nuclear reactor or whatever it may be. Tomorrow, you know, if someone comes up with something about the hydrogen hub and everything, of which I would be a supporter of anything like that, you know, anything that would drive additional growth here, safe growth here, and diversification, I'd be in favor. But literally, if tomorrow that happened, you're probably 10 years away from reality, you know. Well, I can't comment more on that because I don't have the expertise to be able to comment more. But I can tell you just what I said just a few minutes ago. We know that coal and gas are absolutely our lifeblood. And we know the contribution that those workers have made. We know right now that there's people 7,000 plus feet underground in a coal seam that's that high. They can't even sit up. And honest to Pete, if we can't get it, that they brung us to the dance. If we can't get that, then we're not much. You know, that's all there is to it. Now, at the end of the day, it may very well be that the technology on gas or coal becomes that we can make it so clean it's off the chart. And I don't think that technology is here today, and I get that. And I get our concerns about climate change and all that. I get every bit of all this stuff. But I am telling you, I really believe God above looks after each and every one of us all the time. And I believe that as we go forward, really, really smart people that are way smarter than I will give us the answers. But to absolutely just step back and start blowing our legs off or knee-jerking in the different directions and everything else today, it would not be the smart thing to do. Now answer the rest of this question, sir.
In answer to your question, the relief would be immediate, and I'll tell you how we plan to do it. If the legislature, well, the Senate, because the House of Delegates has already passed the governor's law, let's say it passes March 15th. The state tax department will immediately revise its withholding tables and send out across the state revised withholding tables, which means that all working people will have less money taken out of their paycheck. We calculate in the time from April 1 till June 30, just that one quarter, that will put $163 million back into everybody's pocket. Then going forward, from July 1, 23 to June 30, 24, the state fiscal year, that will put back in West Virginians' pockets $1,085 million. Almost $100 million a month will be put back in your pockets. All right, let me give you that number. Very 2 point. At 1.2 billion. Once it takes full effect, it's $1.2 billion. Yeah, which every year, $100 million a month.
Yeah, okay, but in the 3 years, we'll be saving how much every year then? Is that what? I'm trying to jump around with you.
No, I'm with you. I understand what you're saying.
Basically, what you're saying is if we all are paying taxes like we pay today, at the end in the third year, we will be paying $1.2 billion less money than what we're paying today.
So we'd be 2
But for the cumulative, the whole 3 years,
Yeah.
the whole 3 years together are about $2.5 billion of total money. Because the second year, it's about a little over $1 billion. And then in the first year, it's 160 million, because you're only going to do it this year for 1 quarter. So altogether, it's about 2.5 billion. But I don't really look at it that way. I look at, well, what is it going to cost us? Okay, what's it going to cost us as we go forward year after year after year? And today, our revenue in the state of West Virginia is about $6.4 billion. Our cost today to run everything in the world is about 4.7 to 4.9 today. If we keep our budget, you know, we don't do frivolous things and throw money away, but we give pay raises and we give increases, you know, for corrections, and we do stuff for education and everything else. Our budget will grow probably to the tune of about 4 or 5% a year. But absolutely, we factor in with the recession and with energy prices going down, we factored in, you know, our growth dollars, our revenue dollars are way, 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 way ahead of what it's costing us to do what we're doing. Yes, ma'am.
Right now, West Virginia state tax, we're paying.
Dave, you answer this, please. I'm sorry now. I didn't get to. You said help our small businesses. I get that. And you said something in regard to right now we're paying.
We're paying a lot of money out for West Virginia state tax and everything. Is there going to be any kind of relief for small businesses?
Well, the first answer is when you put $100 million back in everyone's pocket, a good portion of that is going to be spent, $100 million a month, which will, of course, help small business across the state. The second point I would make is many small businesses are LLCs, single-member LLCs, what they call pass-through entities, and pass-through entities will also receive an income tax cut in this plan. So the plan applies to the pass-through entities as well as individuals that pay their tax.
Let me comment just real quick on that too. You know, if in the first quarter, the last quarter of this year, we put $163 million back in the hands of the people, you know, and then we put $1 billion, and then we put $1.2 billion back in the hands of people. Before you spin around 5 times, the effect on small business, the effect on our car dealers and everything, good gracious, I don't know that there'd be a possibility of buying a car ever in West Virginia then, you know. But the probability of more and more and more and more goodness happening within, more business happening to our small businesses, you know, and this small business is growing. That's for real. The other thing is a lot of our small businesses are sub-S corporations or LLCs or whatever it may be, and those earnings flow down to the individual, the owner. And then the owner is taxed from the state standpoint, but the way it flows down now, you know, you pay 6.5% or 6.25%, personal income tax, and now you'll pay half that. And so there's all kinds, and then the last thing is just this, from the standpoint of our small businesses, well, just think if we had an influx of people, what would that do to our small businesses? No matter what it would be. No matter if it's our homes or our cars or welding shops or whatever it may be, it's going to create more business and more stuff. You know, you see, the other flip side of it is just with Christy just a second ago, I showed her, you know, this is the money, you know, that I'm wanting to put in your pocket. On the other hand, and this is a decision that could very well come down to you, is if you just leave the money in Charleston what are they going to do? They're going to spend your money. Well, I believe you ought to have the money. And that's why I believed what I believed on Amendment 2, local control. You ought to have the money. If you, and mark it down, I'm not going to be here forever. You know, but from a governor's standpoint, I'm going to be gone soon. Now, and literally at the end of the day, you mark this down, you put it in the bank. You know, absolutely dead level in the bank. If you have the money, we'll make headway like you can't imagine. If you have the money, growth will come to this state because we'll have lower taxes. If Charleston has the money, we'll waste it, and you'll turn around and spend around 5 times, and the growth won't come, and then you'll be standing there paying your taxes very high, and you'll wonder, what in the world happened? Now, you mark it down, I'll guarantee you I'm right, because everybody's got a pet project. Everybody knows how we can spend all kinds, billions upon billions upon billions and billions of dollars. I think you should have the money. Please ask. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Would there be any increase to other taxes such as property, gas, sales tax to offset the income tax reduction?
Go ahead and ask the second one first, or also.
Okay, for the states that have the no income tax and they've seen the 50% growth, I think you said, are there certain businesses or industries that have been attracted to those states that we think we can see some of that opportunity as well?
Let me, Mark, not be a smart aleck, but answer the second question first, okay? This would be like the waitress coming up at the diner and saying, sir, do you like your eggs scrambled or fried? And this was a question in regard, is there certain businesses that come to those states? And the answer to the waitress that says, sir, do you like your eggs scrambled or fried is yes. You know, I'll promise you, it's a cross sector of every type of business in the world that are coming to those states. Now, in regard to your question, your first question, you know, are we going to have to raise other taxes? Honest to Pete, there is no reason to do that at all. Now, many states have traded taxes. You know, Tennessee or Florida or wherever it may be, they have a much higher property tax and they have a much higher sales tax or this or that or whatever it may be to be able to get there, and their success is terrific. There's no question about that. But we don't have to do that. We do not have to do that. Literally, if you hear proposals coming from whatever it may be, Senate or wherever it may be, that we need to raise the sales tax, that is not necessary at all. We don't need to do that. My plan is just as simple as just what you just saw. Yes, sir.
Do you have any early count on the Senate Finance Committee right now?
Let me tell you, you know, and again, I'm trying to be just as positive as I can possibly be. But what you've got going on is you still have people that are still moaning about Amendment 2, you know, and with that moaning about Amendment 2 that you spoke, see, at the end of the day, I would have done this, and you believe it or not believe it, I don't really care. But literally, if you would have spoken directly the other way, I would have said, that's exactly what the people said, that's what we do. Because we should do always what you say do, you know, and we should be happy about that. You see, at the end of the day, you gave me your vote, and I think that is a very onerous thing that has come to me, you know. You gave legislatures, delegates, senators your vote. I mean, for God's sakes of living, they should absolutely do what you say do. And Mike, from the standpoint of the Senate in general, you know, I really believe, you know, you get a lot of senators together by themselves or whatever like that, and they have very positive thoughts about. I really am very hopeful that they're continuing to work in a positive way. But literally, this business of just procrastinating and say, well, we don't want to be Kansas. Well, horse, whatever, almost said something. Okay, don't you think that Jim Justice doesn't want to end up as Kansas? And absolutely, this man has vetted things every way you can vet it. Or they say, well, we want to look more deep at the numbers. Well, for God's sakes of living, we would give them any and every number known to man, so they can be comfortable in what we're doing. And so at the end of the day, I don't have a count. Yes, sir. No question, we need to get it to a vote. We need to get it to a vote. Ask me. Okay.
So with all of the growth that we're expecting, my concern is that the current childcare infrastructure will not be able to sustain and it will crumble. So what are your thoughts on investing in childcare?
I think that we continue to invest and invest and invest. Now look, again, I look at Baby Dog as one of my children, but I am a coach, and I am eat up with loving kids. And you got a lot of kids in this state that are still really hurting. And you got my wife who's just immersed in communities and schools and trying to help kids. And literally all this said, we have got to continue to try to put that at this level of priority and continue to do more and more and more and more. But without any question, we can do that and continue to make things better and better and better for our children or our people that are really down on their luck and having a hard way to go. We can do that and still do this and not be in any level of danger. We can. Right now, our child protective services workers and everything need an incredible bump in their pay. We've got people at corrections that need a big-time bump to be able to fill those jobs. In my opinion, we need to absolutely continue to try to reward our teachers and help them and our service personnel, because we need to continue to try to attract better, the best. This is all about the children, and so there's so many things like that, but we can do that. We can do all that and not miss a beat. Yes, sir, you were going to say, no, let me go back there. Yes, sir.
Today, there's multiple components to driving growth in states, and one of them is obviously education. I'm sure you're aware that 1 out of 5 students currently are literate in reading in our public school systems. What is your guys' plan as far as the administration is concerned the next couple of years? I know there's a short time left to fix education and ultimately make that attractive for people to come here. Because even with income tax being cut, they see our education system, it's going to make them pause for sure.
Well, let me just say just this. First of all, in my first State of the State address, I said we've got to make education our centerpiece. Now, is it solved? No, it's not solved. And really and truly, will it be solved by me or the next governor or the next governor? It probably won't be solved. Will it be made better? Absolutely. Without any question, we need to continue to concentrate to make it better and better and better. One of the things, and I say this is the small thing, but let me just tell you how silly this could be, because every single person, company, whatever, that looks at West Virginia, the first thing they say is, how are the schools? First thing is always that, how's the schools? Well, we got a big, long way to go, but I'm telling you now, and I hope that you'll agree, there's an awful lot of good going on in our schools too. Can they be a whole lot better? Well, of course they can. But if I were, and let's just stay with that just 1 second. Let's go in any elementary school and go pull the class outside of the school and ask the class, how do you think, I mean, what kind of teacher is Miss Jones? And I'll bet you overwhelmingly those kids love their teacher. Well, they don't love their teacher if the teacher doesn't love them back. And then let's go to any community, small community, and say, what about the school down there on the street corner? What do you think about the school? And I'll bet you overwhelmingly the people would say, we got a good school. So let's not just completely ignore what's going on in our schools, because we know we've got a big hurdle to continue to make it better and better and better, and we need to do that. But we've got some real good going on. If you were to go to Southside LA and ask the parents about their school, well, good God, their kids are scared to death to even go. You know, absolutely. Just always think and remember that. The other thing is just this. Right now in my budget, we put, I don't know what it was, like $38 million in the budget right now to hire aides on the first grade level to do exactly what you're saying, to make it better, to make them absolutely learn how to read better. We got problems. We got to make them better. Think about this. When I first got there, we were grading our schools A through F. Now think about this marketing deal. On a bell-shaped curve, some get an A and some get an F. Most of them get C's. So what's your governor, what are we supposed to say? Come to West Virginia. Our schools are mostly C's. How's that going to work? You know? So we got rid of that. We got rid of that crazy testing that was going on all the time. We've made headway, but we've got to make a lot more. Your point's very well taken. Yes, sir.
Back on the comment on the taxes. Many states in our country do not have personal property tax. Once you buy a vehicle, you pay it one time up front. You don't pay the county year after year after year. Is there any incentive in West Virginia to make that an attraction to bring people in?
Well, it is. It is. And, you know, I'd be all for getting rid of your car tax, poof. And I sent the bill up right off the get-go, okay? The only thing that is at play right now that is different is just this, is if you didn't have a car tax tomorrow, there'd be 18 people come to West Virginia, or there may be 1,800, or there may be 18,000. If you reduce your income taxes by 50% in the state of West Virginia, there'll be 180,000 come. You know, that's the difference. That's all the difference. It's a great idea, and you know, I'd be absolutely for it. I'm already for it. Come on, somebody ask, please. Oh, we'll talk. I knew you'd talk. Here, well, just take
He's the only one.
Take this.
Okay, thank you. I don't mind. Listen, I know a lot of you folks out there. My name's Ike Morris, Gilbert County, president of Waco Oil and Gas. We're very involved in West Virginia. I see a lot of my friends out here, business or just business associates. I've been to 2 less meetings than senator or the governor here. Excuse me. And it goes back. If you know, he talked about compromise. He already has compromise, because we ought to be the blue. We ought to be talking the blue instead of this 50%. It does give everybody more money. We're going to spend more money. I have my son and him. I told this story so many times. Jim's heard it, but they've got a plastic plant right there in Glenville. Got 100 and some odd employees and everything. They've got another plastic plant in Jacksonville, Florida. No state tax, none. It is so much easier to operate, gives them more money to operate with. He just told you half the story. He did compromise. And as I say, start out with. But we've got it going here, and I'm a whole lot like Jim. I'm not going to be here forever. I'm 85. So I can relate to all you older people getting Social Security checks, this, that. This is not about a lot of us here, and I'm not putting anybody down older, very few people here's any older than I am. But we need young people coming back here. We need jobs provided. This is a no-brainer. This is strictly a no-brainer. Jim, you know, his country he is and everything, he just hitting it lightly. I'm just saying, we ought to be down there just doing everything we can to get this bill passed. It's just easy and simple. And I don't like paying taxes any more than anybody, but I'm going to take these taxes I've saved. I've done good all my life, regardless of whatever. But we've got the greatest state in the world, so undeveloped. We got so much, whether it's recreation or education, we do need to tax that. We need to, what's this Public Service Commission? Be sure our utility bills don't get too high and things like that. But we got people like this in charge doing this. But I just felt I have to get up. This is my last meeting, Jim. I'm gonna take a break. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Listen, you can't keep Ike Morris from talking. That's all there is to it. And you know, I really mean this. I had no idea in the world. He showed up at Beckley the other day, and then all of a sudden we were pulling around here in the back. I was trying to get close to a bathroom, and we were pulling around in the back, and Rebecca said to me, there's Ike Morse, you know, and so you know, he is interested. He's done so much good, it's unbelievable. His heart's in the right spot. He and Mike both, and they've done phenomenal work, and I love them to death. But let me just tell you just this, because I do want to get you out of here in your lunch hour, but just please understand, don't let somebody scare you. Be smart. We do need people moving to West Virginia, and we need young people to move. And literally, the more people that move, the better the roads will be, the better our schools will be. We'll solve all these things. You know, we can't just shrivel up in a corner and know our place. You see, like it or not like it, but literally at the end of the day, the nation and the world almost said to West Virginia for decades, you know your place and you just stay down there. And really, we're so much better than that. I mean, literally, we were in a fight with Mississippi all the time who was going to be dead last. That's all there is to it. And we're not that now. And we're on the move. Let's be smart and don't do anything silly. Let's be smart and absolutely walk up to the pool and put our big toe in it before we just cannonball right in and do something that's silly. But at the same time, let's don't be afraid of the dark. Let's don't get scared and be afraid of the dark and let Charleston just squander your money. I won't be here forever as your governor, but I'll promise you to the good Lord above, today there is $18 billion of projects that Charleston can do, and then it'll be gone. And the growth won't come. It'll be gone. You can't let that happen. That's all there is to it. Anybody else got any other question? Oh. Well.
You don't recognize me, but I grew up with you on Northwestern Avenue on McLean Edition.
Well, you got to tell me you.
I got in a fist fight with you and I beat the hell out of you. Proud of you back then. You come from a great family and I want to thank you.
Well, you got to tell me your name.
My name is Robert Pasegna.
Oh, my good Lord.
Robert Street next to where you.
Absolutely. I mean, good Lord, you got to come up here before you tell me.
Thank you.
And I want to go back. Who beat the hell out of who? Yes, sir.
I just want to thank you for making this attempt to try to bring people to West Virginia. I'm a county commissioner. I know that Harrison County, we've been stagnant, the state's stagnant in growth.
appreciate you, Dave, and all of you. You know, what you're doing, what y'all have done at this airport up here is unbelievable. It's off the chart, and your area just continues to get better and better and better. You got a lot of people in this area, whether it be these two characters, this great man, on and on and on, that have done really, really, really great stuff. And so I appreciate you more than you'll ever know.
For those that don't understand the legislative process down there in Charleston, I spent 12 years in the state senate. 17 members on the finance committee. They need 9 votes to get it out of there. I would encourage you all to check with your senators who might be serving on the finance committee. Encourage them to vote to get it out of committee, get it on the floor. Once it gets on the floor, forget about party lines. Look at the issue, what's out there, and encourage those people to put 18 votes on it on the floor to get the bill. They may make some amendments in the Senate side right now that pass it back to the House. You've got the votes in the House, and once you get the public there, the calls going into your own senators has a big effect on it, believe it or not. So it's encouraged to stay in touch. And I know that many people have never been down to watch legislation being passed, but it's a great system we work on, and everything that you could follow all the rules. So I would encourage that very much from all of us.
Well, thank you, Mike. Yes, sir.
One thing people are concerned about are students after they're educated here in West Virginia, they're forced to leave the state for employment. What better way to keep our kids at home than to attract businesses here that will allow our students, our children to stay?
I hope y'all all heard that, but basically it was what better way in the world to attract business that gives us the opportunity for our kids to stay and not have to go to Atlanta or Denver or Charlotte or whatever and find employment. Think about this just a second. And I've said this 10 million times. I always talk about Toby and Edith, and they're the voters. But Edith wants to have a picnic this weekend. You know, and it's happened 10 million times across this state. Nothing could be worse than this. Literally, we had a migration of people that left our state like nobody's business. They had to. They had to go get a job. And literally, Edith couldn't have that picnic because she wanted her grandkids to be there. And they were in Atlanta and Denver and Charlotte and all over the place. Now listen, when you fragment your families, the very, very network that has made us who we are in every way, it's sad. It's really sad. This is just another step forward to maybe bring a lot of people home too. We don't need to fragment our families. Honest to be, let me end by just saying just this. You don't have any idea how good you really are. In all honesty, through this pandemic, we've all kind of just pulled the rope together. I mean, we were the 3rd oldest state, the most chronically ill state. Good Lord, we should have died like flies. That's all there is to it. Now, a lot of people we did lose, but we should have died like flies all over the place. In some way, somehow, we hung together, and we got there without shutting down everything coming or going and doing everything under the sun. We absolutely protected our counties with the CARES money. We didn't throw it away. And at the end, we ended up with enough money still there to put in a nursing program to start doing stuff to get nurses in this state, all across our state, in a good way, with lots and lots of institutions. We did stuff the right way because of you. Don't let anybody tell you you're not the envy of the world. You abound in natural resources. You're so close to population, it's unbelievable. You are the real treasure. You're craftsmen. You're really, really faith-based and good, solid people. You know, what's wrong with this world today, and don't let me be on my high horse, but listen to me. What's wrong with this world in so many situations today, people don't care what's right and wrong. They care absolutely what they can get by with. That's what's wrong, but that's not us. That's not West Virginians. You're so good, it's unbelievable. And the envy of the world now sees it, and business after business after business are knocking on our doors right as we speak. And they're coming. They're really coming. Literally, just keep it going. Let's don't blow our full legs off. And Robert, you come up here. Come up here. I'm going to show you what I got for you. All right, listen. I love all of you to death. Thank y'all so much for coming. And if you want to come up and say hi to Baby Dog, come on up here.